Hey there everyone! A few weeks ago I shared a live video showing how I made this beautiful collage piece from the Tim Holtz Etcetera tiles. I wanted to quickly run through that project again and then show you how I framed it out. I used the Etcetera 2.5-inch tiles and the 2.5-inch tiles with cutouts. This was probably the most challenging part because I didn't want to have like two hearts next to each other and so forth. I covered all of the tile pieces with Tim Holtz backdrops and ephemera pack. I've got to admit this was a little time consuming as well because I'm very particular about how my colors go together and I wanted it to be very cohesive. In order to get a nice clean finish around all of the edges and the shapes, I used an X-Acto knife and then sandpaper to scrape off the rough edges. If you have a tendency to move things around a lot and work on different projects at different times like I do, I like to take a picture of my layout so that I don't forget what I've done and have to start from the very beginning. Once the papers have dried onto the Etcetera tiles, another way that I like to create a cohesive look is to age the edges of these. I use Distress Oxide Vintage Photo. While you're here, we'd sure love it if you would go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and I'll leave a link in the description box below with all of the products that I've used for this cute little collage piece. Next, I'm going to sandwich all of my pieces together and I'll glue everything in place using our favorite Titebond Quick and Thick. I did forget to mention that JR cut a piece of 1/4-inch plywood for me to mount all of these little collage tiles on. You'll have to call upon all of your best math skills to figure out the size of the board that you want, depending on how many collage tiles you use. I left off not sure how I was going to frame out this piece. We'll get to that a little later. This little collage piece was just calling out for more details and more layers, and so I used the Tim Holtz adornments, the bugs, and I painted them with alcohol inks. I chose the bugs because I think they're really cute and they have a gardeny theme, but you could put butterflies or hearts or whatever you want. And then glue them into place with the Tim Holtz collage medium. And then I added some tiny little snippets, the curator pack, little tiny labels, and added a few of those little bits to each of those collage tiles. Again, to pull it all together and create a very cohesive look. So here's how I finished off the frame. I decided that instead of just painting the edge of this collage piece, that I was going to go ahead and use the Etcetera Trims and then the matching Sizzix die for the trims. The die cuts matched the trims exactly, so I cut out a piece for each side and then glued them onto those Etcetera trim pieces. Yes, this is tedious, it's a little over the top, but I couldn't help myself. Once I got everything cut into place, I glued it all and then clamped everything, and I'm not gonna lie, I needed a nap after this. You can see that where my Etcetera tiles had to be joined, it leaves a little seam, and so I had to put on my thinking cap and figure out a way to hide those seams and neaten up the corners. After sanding all the corners to neaten them up, I distressed all of the edges with that oxide ink in Vintage Photo. I also added some stamping to the edges. This is from a little script stamp. This is one of my favorite stamps for a good background. It's called Ledger Script. Then I set about to disguising those corners and the seams. I used various snippets and the snippets numbers collection. I love those little number strips. I'm really happy with the way that this turned out. I love the way that my little collage piece is framed out. Again, it's a little over the top. It was time consuming, but I think it gives it a really good look. And not a bad way to spend most of my day off. I hope you're inspired by this project. We would love it again if you would go ahead and subscribe to our channel and leave us a comment. Are you a Tim Holtz addict? I am. Remember, you can visit us here at our brick and mortar shop in Medina, New York, or at ellenjgoods.com.